Hello, welcome to
Oh,
episode 59 of Dissonant Waves. Well,
this is gonna be one of those starts where it gets really wild, and then after like 5 minutes, we're gonna realize you're not actually recording.
I am looking at the recording happening right now. We are 22 seconds. 23.
Okay,
That
cool.
is good.
That is good. I don't want one of those like wild conversations where like we solve world hunger and then we realize we didn't record it, so no one will ever know.
I see your
That's how
levels.
it
I
gets
see my
good.
levels. We are good.
We are good.
Good.
Ritz and Trix and Dominic are all here. I'm
Yeah.
Dominic.
You know that talking to like referring to yourself in third person is apparently a sign of insanity. This is something that somebody told me, and that same person got put into a psychiatric ward for stalking someone. So, you know what? I don't know who to believe anymore.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
I don't think I don't think they liked Far Cry. Anyway, let's go into some happier chat. Let's go into the albums we're covering this week. I've already
So we're
forgotten
not
what
starting
they
with
are.
Carrie and Lowell then.
All right, so
Uh, yeah, I feel like we'll put that at the end just so that everybody who actually listens to it can just leave on a downer note.
Yeah.
We're
we
gonna
got
bring them up
Sounds
just to
good.
put them back down again.
Sufjan Stevens as Carrie and Lowell. Home is Where's I Became Birds, and Dogman by King's X.
Yes.
Should we
Now,
start?
I was gonna say we know what we're doing last. Which one do we want to do first here?
I mean, let's start with the most positive one, I Became Birds.
Hey,
These
so
are all pretty
this
downer albums, honestly.
Yeah.
this is I call it an EP. They call it an album. I don't know how to argue with this. Uh,
There's
this
the conservative one joke that's there somewhere that we're not going.
you mean the attack helicopter one?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is an album that I discovered off that Bandcamp article that was talking about the new wave of emo, and there was a couple artists on there which I already knew, like Glass Beach, Awake but Still in Bed, and the one that's been high in my rotation for like the past 2.5 years, Origami Angel. So I decided I'll give a couple of the other ones a listen as well, which I gave the Dogleg one a listen quite recently, and I also gave the Harmony Woods one. But the one that was from this year that really stood out of all the ones that I gave a listen was Home is Where's I Became Birds, which I feel like whilst it doesn't completely reinvent the wheel, it does it does execute the uses of the wheel as it should be done.
It feels genuine.
Yeah, like there was nothing out here that streams. If you want to find something unique, listen to this. I think they do some of their stuff a bit differently that makes them stand out a bit. But what's mostly impressive about this is for how young of a band this is, for just how well polished and how well executed this album EP is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an emo band that's influenced by Jeff Mangum and Bob Dylan. So,
There's quite a lot of harmonica on it. That's one of the
Yes.
things that I kind of noticed the more I listen to, that this absolutely overuses the harmonica, but it's one of those times where overuse is the fun of it.
oh yeah, I love the harmonica bit. It's
Mm.
nice. It's cool. Like you would not expect a harmonica, but it's there.
No.
And one of my favorites off the CP is one that I haven't actually seen them do live. They did like this charity stream. I don't mean like see live personally. I mean just on YouTube. And they did this charity stream where they performed all these songs from the album plus one from their debut EP.
Mhm.
And there's just so much energy when they perform this.
Oh, I can
The
tell.
song that I like, the song that I like the most is "Long Distance Conjoined Twins," but it's such an outlier that it's so much harder for them to actually play that live
Mhm.
because it's just a lot more calmer than the other songs are on this album. I mean, "Sewn Together" from the membrane of the sea cucumber. Probably haven't got every word from that
The great
in
sea
there.
cucumber. Otherwise, you got
Great
it.
sea cucumber, and that one starts off so calm, and then
Yeah.
just has just absolute breakdown around 2 minutes into it after I don't know what the lead singer's name is, or I don't know if it's a dead name because I know they refer to themselves as a she because it's on Twitter.
Yeah, the
but it also
pronouns
says
they, she. I think I believe.
yeah, but it also says Brandon, so I don't know. I don't know fully enough of that, so I don't want to really
Yeah, everything I read,
misjudge on this stuff.
everything I said still said Brandon McDonald. I would assume
Yeah.
that they would change it if they were, ready to.
I don't know
Yeah.
if they're full trans or if they're just like gender neutral, whatever the term for
Gender fluid.
Non-binary.
gender fluid, yeah, non-binary. That's the name. Thank you.
They go between non-binary and she.
Yeah, fair enough then. That actually makes a lot more sense. Anyway, shit, I forgot what my train of thought was. Yeah, okay, when they were going through the like this very calming line, just talking about how they want to pet every puppy they see,
Hmm.
and it just has this huge goddamn breakdown.
Yeah.
Which the first time I heard that just kind of scared me a little.
It's
Like
like
not panic attack style, but I just so did not expect that.
it's like our first
Yeah.
real foray into like screamo, like actual screamo.
And then the next song kind of like continues a bit on with that screamo,
Mhm.
but is a lot shorter and is somehow calmer.
Oh,
And then my
yeah.
like my second favorite from this, Assisted Harakiri, which
Yeah.
holy shit, that song's fantastic.
Cops are
I
flammable if
lo-
you try.
Yeah, cops. I was actually about to reference the cops are flammable one. There's some weird lyrics all over this album,
Oh yeah.
but that's the fun of it. Like, how long has it been since the president got assassinated? That's one of them.
Like
The
I
cops are flammable was another fantastic one.
like I do like I think this is where the Jeff Mangum influence comes in, where it's just really wild lyrics that are interesting.
Mm.
Maybe not
Yeah.
as like up to that
They're not as
bar.
they're not as vivid as Jeff Mangum lyrics, but I can see as well because they are quite metaphorical.
And I do think
Whether or not that
Mhm.
metaphor actually leads to anything is a different story, but still.
and I do think some of the songs kind of sound like Camp Carrot Flowers a little bit. Just in like I don't know if it's the progression or the chords or what.
At long distance, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Long Distance is my favorite off this album just because that outro to it is just for a song that's really calming, like comparing to the rest of this, but it's not so calming that it kind of gets a bit boring as well. It also has a bit of a heavy side to that kind of acoustic part to it.
Yeah.
And then when it breaks down with the actual like the rest of the band fully coming in, and that just simple last verse of I know we're not holding our breath. I can't breathe. You can't breathe. We'd see seaweed if we opened our eyes. The way that the vocal flows, like the vocal flow in that whole song is fantastic.
Yeah.
But specifically in that last verse, I think it really shines. And it's quite a simple lyric, but it just really hits well.
The amount that the lyrics have stuck in my head this week is impressive to me. Like these are songs that just kind of come up randomly in my thought process. And when songs embed that deep, I usually understand that it's something pretty special. Like you've been on a real roll lately, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
Well, long distance as well is one of those songs where the lyrics comes in and that kind of moment comes in where I can kind of like, when you have a song and you kind of listen to it and you can imagine just like a TV show moment happening and that song's playing in the background.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine it to like some kind of summary TV show. It could be probably about someone having depression or something like that. It
Sure.
could be anything on that. And it's just kind of whole way where they're like to the outro of the whole episode of the show, they're just diving and cannonballing into a lake, and the end verse of this plays. That just sticks in my head
yeah, that's
constantly
cool.
every time that I hear it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Black Country New Road, you pick Mogwai, you pick Genesis Owusu, you pick Paranol. I think this is right up there with all of that. Like I have bought all of these albums like in the week.
Mogwai you bought before we actually did it.
Yeah,
Because I told you we were going to do it, and actually you buying it is one of the reasons I stuck to doing it because I didn't want to disappoint you.
right.
That
and-
is a fantastic album. But
yeah, like I have liked a lot of these choices you made this year, and I think this is as good as any of them.
But there's so many people. I see so many people because they listen to just what's ever mainstream on the radio and stuff like that, even if they don't like it. And they've said there hasn't been much good 2021 releases this year. I mean, even in the mainstream, there has been some maybe not fantastic, but still good releases. I mean, the Olivia Rodrigo, the stuff that I've heard of that has actually been fine. There's
Yeah.
also been new singles, especially in Australia for bands that are quite popular here. But I see so many people say that 2021 has been a dry year, but there's actually just been so much fantastic that's been released, especially from a lot of people who have a lot of pent up rage from COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Like I feel like my idea of like what's my top of the year or top of what we listened to this year just keeps getting higher and higher. Like, oh yeah, Harry Knowles replacing Mogwai, and then something I bet will replace Paranol too.
I don't think this would replace Paranol, but
no,
I mean, I don't even know if Paranol's my favorite of the year. There's just like so many good albums. It's, to be honest, my favorite from the year is still in competition with Black Country and Petite League.
Those are also great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to it's a Joyrider the other day. Who that?
You cut out quite a bit there.
Oh, Joyrider, good.
There we go.
I do want to shout out this cover art. I really find it striking as much as it is like an emo staple of like random pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Like for this,
I think it fits the term, like the album, quite well actually.
This and the single version of Scientific Classification, I also really like the cover art for that. Like the same almost, but like different people in it.
Yeah. So for people who can't actually like see because this is audio, of course you can't see. So the cover art is pretty simple. It seems to be two girls, two separate beds, like two single beds, and one of them is jumping off their bed, kind of flying into the other one. And I think that kind of whole concept of flying as well fits with the or jumping in kind of in the air fits with the I became birds, a staple of that. There's a lot of moments on this album where you'd feel like that's a very suitable album art for us. Obviously, I talked a lot about long distance conjoined twins, but even that breakdown sewn together feels like it would fit in that. And pretty much the whole of Assisted Harakiri.
Yeah.
Which that's like that song. It's not my favorite of it, but it's just so fantastic for the amount of energy in that song. And I love watching the charity stream just for that song, and just in that moment after the cops are flammable, where the singer just gets so into it that their glasses fall off.
Oh, nice. I know you think you linked that in the chat, right?
That's I think I linked that at the start, but yeah, that's generally one of my favorite live moments of the year, and it's just something they did from their house.
That's incredible.
So as I was doing research, one thing that was interesting to me was how Brandon was really, really like into the Old Country as a song. How that was supposed to be their like big Bob Dylan 20-minute song with like 20 verses and like a lot of just stuff going on storytelling wise, and then everyone
I'm glad it's 2 minutes, to be honest. That would not have worked.
And then everyone's like, yo, cut this down. And so they picked like 2 verses and then they lost the rest.
The Old Country is easily the least favorite off here. It's fine as a closer, but it just doesn't hold up to the rest of this.
Right. And in a sense it was meant to be the Oh Comely, but it is not.
No, I mean this album isn't perfect or anything, especially mostly with the Old Country. And as you were saying, like Sewn Together isn't really a 100% perfect song as well, especially with its breakdown. But
like the build up is so great that there's just, I don't know what it is exactly. There's just a little disconnect when when it actually drops in a screamo that I'm like, in my mind this is better than it is. When I hear it, it's like, I don't know if there's like it's like a second too long, but something there. But I do really like it.
And there's also the intro song we haven't really talked about, which the title of it parodies the "Jesus was way cool" line, and it's L. Ron Hubbard was way cool,
which actually might be
a fantastic title.
It's one of my top tracks of the album for sure. I really like this song.
It's a good one.
I like it, but it's just for me because it feels like just an intro to Long Distance.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it kind of is because it flows into it.
Sure.
And it's completely overshadowed by Long Distance for me. I like L. Ron Hubbard. I think most. You heard me. Scientology waves, baby.
Time to join the ocean.
For something that's only 19 minutes, it somehow feels a lot shorter because you're just having a lot of fun going through this. If you're into emo, or if you want to get into emo, this might be a bit hard because it's not as accessible as more popular emo acts, especially mainstream emo back in the noughties was, or even when it comes to the Midwestern, which is what this is a variant of. This isn't like accessible for newcomers, and for people who are really like into this genre, it's not anything new. You're not going to find anything too unique from this. But if you are into this genre and you're fully into this is definitely one of the big recommends of the year.
Yeah. What was interesting to me was that when I was on my work computer, which doesn't keep a memory of like what you searched or whatever, I was just like having this on Bandcamp up, and up underneath it was like, hey, if you like Home Is Where, you're gonna like Paranol. Like, okay, that's a suggestion. And then like, yeah, I guess if someone I knew really liked Paranol and they're like, what else you got? I would probably give them L. Ron Hubbard Was Way Cool, like a tester of like, hey, you might like this band too.
And
We'll
if
see.
anybody hasn't read that, sorry, my girlfriend's just dying in the background there. If anybody hasn't read that Bandcamp daily post about the fifth wave emo post, definitely recommend listening. Not listening to it, reading through it, because it does actually have some samples of these albums as well. They highlighted some fantastic stuff in 2019 as well, specifically Origami Angels, Somewhere City, and Glass Beach, the first Glass Beach album, which a lot of people classify that as emo. I've listened to it. I don't really see it. I guess you could just identify as whatever music you want, I guess. That's not really an issue, but
Ritalin is the arbiter of emo.
yeah, fucking poses.
Just you are in charge of genre.
But,
you tell us what genre is.
Yeah. It's more like surf poppy than it is emo for me, but it's still a fantastic album.
Looking at my notes, because I had some stuff written down I thought was interesting. I know this band got a lot of attention when Laura Jane Grace played them on one of her streams.
I didn't realize that happened.
Yeah.
Me either.
So I think there's probably some like, oh my god, we love this band. I think
one of the Bandcamp comments on this is trans emo rules, so there's no real surprises there.
Also, Brandon talks about how the album was originally meant to be a concept album about Rolf from Ed, Edd n Eddy. Kind of.
That has to be a troll.
Yeah, but they also try to justify being like, it's like the outsider and this culture and yada yada.
I don't think Rolf was into
country.
L. Ron Hubbard.
And there's the reference to the old country.
Yeah.
Maybe in like a year we're just gonna get this 40-minute country album from them, and the emo is just gonna change for the better.
And then there's that whole lyric about cops being flammable, and then one of the band members wanted to be a Marine after this came out. I thought that was interesting.
Marine's not a cop. They're I guess they're a cop of the sea.
I mean, Marines are technically a part of the Navy, but they're not really. They don't really do sea missions.
They don't really do sea. They don't
Marine
do sea
name
missions.
only.
They don't do sea missions. They do CE missions. Thank you. This is a reference to the amount of people in the Navy and the Marines who constantly have hidden gay sex. Thank you.
I didn't get it until you said it. But yeah, this is a cool band. I dig what they're going for. I'm curious if they will develop beyond just like, we like Bob Dylan a lot, or like, we really like Jeff Mangum's work,
I can't wait to the next one, the next EP they put out. It's just a 50-minute, just kind of biography on the history of the Cold War.
I would love that.
That'd be great.
As it is,
Alright, well,
their Twitter is Bob Dylan Smells, so we know they really think.
Well, alright. Favorites, least favorites.
I don't really have a least favorite.
I mean, you go ahead.
You go
Red.
first.
All right. I really like L. Ron Hubbard Was Way Cool. Sewn Together, despite not working 100% for me, is still a highlight just for how hard it goes and for, like, it being just like the clear centerpiece of the album. Long Distance Conjoined Twins also has just been stuck in my head a lot. So those first 3 tracks are great. Old Country, probably the least favorite. It's not terrible or anything. It's just like a different vibe.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with Old Country being just like the least favorite. Favorites, Assisted Harakiri, which is just fantastic.
Yeah.
The whole way through, it just absolutely bangs. And then Long Distance Conjoined Twins, that's gonna go down. Maybe not with the songs of the year, but I feel like that's gonna be in my top 20 by the end of this year. It's just that fucking good, and that's stuck in my head. We also didn't really mention as well that it at least I have the theory that the lyrics of that song are about coming out as trans or like being trans.
I mean, yeah,
Just
Brandon in interviews, Brandon talks about the album being a whole like odyssey into gender identity and like their
Mhm.
transformation.
well, specifically that line, because the whole song, each verse starts with "Hey Samantha,"
Right.
which there's a line that goes, "Hey Samantha, let's trespass vacant properties we claim are our bodies," which is kind of going. To me, that seems like going into a body that you haven't actually gone into before, even though it's yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least how I take it as, which is why I feel like that song specifically
Yeah,
really strikes out as
I
that.
could see that.
Obviously,
Trying to
I'm not the
be-
writer of it, so I can't fully speak, but that's just at least my theory.
I
A
will.
trying
game
to be
theory.
expert on this topic in the chat.
I will probably post in the link and like the show notes a interview in the All Seen Eye that is pretty long, but also just really interesting about the whole creation process and about Brandon and everything.
Hmm.
It was
Alright.
very good.
But most important part though is like this band is incredibly young. They've got a very small discography to their name at the moment. It's really only 11 songs, I believe. Might be 12. I think they had like a single that wasn't on the first EP.
Yeah, there was something.
Although
Alabama Henry.
something.
I think Henry was not
Yeah,
included
Henry
later.
wasn't it. Yeah.
But you can
So it's
buy
like 11.5 then, I guess.
you can buy their whole discography for $1 or more,
Which I did.
which I also
Good
did.
deal.
Yeah. I recommend to everyone like that's into emo at least give it a try for $1.
And if you can't
Like
afford to do it, you can email them and they'll work something out.
just give him a
Mhm.
cent. Give him your firstborn son.
But yeah, good track,
Ah,
good stuff, good stuff.
I'm so
Yes.
excited for what they do in the future. I feel like I feel like when they actually put out I feel like when they put out an actual proper album, I know this is like what they consider a proper album, but if they put out like an actual full length, I feel like it's gonna be something special.
In
Yeah,
terms
we'll keep our
of
eyes out on that.
yeah, in terms of complexity, I was seeing like publications justify it. It has the complexity of it, even if it's not the length.
Yeah, was this a fucking Pitchfork review though? Because we don't trust those.
It was a couple places, not just
I don't think anybody's trusted Pitchfork after they especially in Australia, after their review of Jet Shine On, which was not actually a review, but just a picture of a gorilla taking a shit.
yikes.
No joke there. I'm not even a big Jet fan, but I think that was a bit fucked.
So does that mean we're moving on to King's X Dogman?
My least favorite of the week. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
This is where we get into the theme of the episode. Is it queer or is it Christian or is it both?
Yes.
Is it just someone angsty and taking cigarettes?
Cigarettes is a good tune.
It's a good
Cigarettes
tune.
is the only. It's the highlight of this, and it's not really that great, to be honest.
Oh no,
I-
there's a lot of good highlights.
I do
on
like
it.
a number of songs on here. It's also my least favorite, but that's besides the point of it.
Yeah.
Well, as I think we were saying like yesterday, we haven't really done too much grunge on this podcast. I think this is the first grunge that I didn't pick actually.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's not even really grunge.
It is. This screams out pure 90s. It screams out. So I'm just gonna check what year this was. Yeah, 94. Thought so.
It also
It
seems
screams
very...
out a band. Sorry, Dominic. I just need to finish my insult.
Go ahead.
It screams out a band that is heavily inspired by Nirvana. I don't know anything about this band, by the way, so just putting that out there.
Their first album came out in the late '80s. I want to say '88.
I think it was before that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
they would have been contemporaries with them at the point then, but they didn't quite match what made Nirvana good.
Their first album came out
It has
in
the
88.
anger, but it doesn't. It has the anger, but it doesn't really have the variety or the songwriting that Nirvana had.
Well, they started off as a prog metal band.
They also started in '79 together, and
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
in the research I was doing, they very much came out of the Christian rock music scene of the '70s, and then like came together, and they were a cover band first, just doing top 40 stuff, and slowly
And
over time.
that's fine. I'm not going to try and say here that the music doesn't sound genuine, and I'm going to refer to this as a grunge album. I don't know anything about King's X other than this album. This is the first that I've ever heard of them. I don't think they were ever really popular in Australia. I don't know if they were popular anywhere else. Where are they? Are they from England or are they from
They're from the U.S.,
US? Okay,
U.S.
officially from Springfield, Missouri.
because yeah, Springfield, hey. But I don't know. I was a bit confused because I think Trix was saying like eventually there was going to be a grunge album picked that was the first American, and it's like, well, I thought they were American. It didn't really sound like they weren't.
I don't really consider them grunge. That's why.
Yeah, they are kind
I
of metally. They're more dad rocky, honestly.
I put this with like the Bush style of grunge.
Like, this is something I would
Yeah, I'll give
see.
you that.
I could imagine some of this on like classic rock stations being played still, is like, it's '90s, but you're still probably gonna like it.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to be comparing it with grunge albums. This to me is just grunge, and the grunge albums that I picked, I feel like even the worst songs of that were more interesting than the best songs of this.
The
A lot of
interesting,
interesting stuff off this album.
some of the interesting. Well, firstly, let me just say briefly my history with this album, and that like, I
Yeah.
I bought this CD a couple of years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, and just out of curiosity, because there's like a bunch of different variants of the cover, and I got the blue one, and I listened to it and was completely unimpressed. I think I sold the CD back because I just did not care about it. And then listening to this version, I'm like, oh, I actually really like this now. So I don't know what the last 3 years have done to me. I think it's your two fault.
I'll take credit for that.
I am into it now a bit, not as much as the other stuff, but like I like it. It's a new producer for them, Brendan O'Brien, who did like a bunch of like Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots stuff around that time. And as far as King's X is concerned, this is the first album to capture how they really sound, and it's like 5 or 6 albums.
Yeah.
Just on another Discord here for like 5 seconds, and people were just like were tagging me, asking if Brand New is a band to get into in this time. Nope. Couple years too late on that.
Yeah.
Couple years a bit late. Because I have all these Last FM scrubbles. Because I was really into Brand New as a kid, and obviously after the Jesse Lacey stuff came out, I haven't fully like removed all their music, but I don't listen to them in any way that gives them any money. Because fuck, that shit was so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been hard to even listen to it just like offline. It was that fucking hard in news. Ugh. Anyway, this this album was just something that I don't know. It felt like it went for too long. It didn't feel like it was changing enough to keep me interested.
Yeah, you could probably cut some songs.
After the
Yeah.
first song, it's like, yeah, that's about it. Cigarettes is a fine song. The title track is a good song, but I couldn't really tell you how it went because unlike Home Is Where, which didn't break new ground but was executed well enough, this is executed fine, but it doesn't have any of its own charm to it, and just in my opinion, to keep me interested in it. It was a very forgettable experience. Granted, like I did have a bit of it on in the background. Maybe if I gave it more ear time, maybe I'll find something interesting to like about this. But it was a very like experience. I didn't really care enough about what I was listening to.
That's
Why'd you pick it, Trix? I'm curious.
this is just an album I heard a lot as a kid. And
Fair enough.
I mean-
I think it's good.
Pride Month, Doug Pinnick is gay. That's always interesting.
He's like 71 and just not look that at all.
And yeah, he's the bassist, he's the singer, he does a good job. I think his voice is really good.
Yeah.
Dogman is interesting in that it's like one of the few songs that I know that starts right off with lyrics and guitar and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no intro, there's no like lead time. It is right away.
Yeah.
First line. That is definitely like a mood.
I mean, there's plenty of albums where it starts off with lyrics just straight away, and usually when it does that, I feel like the lyric that opens it has to be a
Defining.
really good lyric. I
Mhm.
mean, and there are some in which I've listened to enough times that the lyric itself has been a bit, yeah, all right. I mean, a Smith Street's band's more scared of you than you are of me. The opening that opens straight up with the lyrics, she yelled, "Tell Jesus he's a fucking loser,"
Mhm.
which that's something that sticks out. And then one of the best opening lines to any albums of Silver Jew's American Water in the which is in 1984. I was hospitalized for approaching perfection. Those are lyrics that stick out. I can't even remember what Dogman's are.
Give me $1 or give me 50 cents.
Yep.
That's right. That's just stupid.
It's very dad rocky. Something you
Yeah,
hear
no,
from like the 70s.
that doesn't really have the other two examples I gave are like miles ahead of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, to me, like, cut some of the first half of the album, cut some around the middle, and I think you could probably get a really good, really good album out of this. Like,
Yeah.
I think Flags and Blue Skies is still interesting. Black the Sky. When again we get to like Complain and Human Behavior, that's when the album's really rolling for me.
Oh yeah. And then cigarettes into Go to Hell.
Yeah.
That just a complete tonal shift.
Go to Hell's like very much like the Electric Wizard thing that we had with The Hills Have
Yeah.
Eyes. I like both tracks a lot for how quick and fast they are.
I will say the cover of Manic Depression was at least a bit of fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was live too.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all the comments I have on this album. I will say the dog is a good boy.
Yes.
As always. Sadly, probably dead.
Yeah.
Hang in there, kitty.
Jan-
Copyright 1983.
January 94, I would assume.
Yeah.
To your question though,
Just that Marge Simpson quote all over again.
your question earlier, this is the most successful they ever were.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No real surprises there, to be honest.
And Dogman was their last big single.
Mm.
When Doug came out as gay in '98, they were promptly taken out of Christian music stores. Because that's how it goes.
So that's why Sufjan Stevens renounced his sexuality.
Probably. Who knows?
I can't find. There was this classic meme. It was when the Christian camp counselor finds out Sufjan Stevens is gay, and it's just this counselor who looks very depressed. I need to find that meme. Instead, all I could find was the one of Illinois and Carrie and Lowell, and it was Patrick Starr photoshopped to the album covers.
Those are really, really good. So
Those are
They are.
fantastic.
let's dude, someone should do all the rest of Patrick Star. I'd love it.
There's this Facebook page that hasn't been updated in over a year, but when it was active, it was perfect. And it was Patrick Starr poorly photoshopped onto album covers. My brother managed to actually get a submission in. I don't know if he created it or just found it, but he edited Sunny Day Real Estate's diary to have Patrick Starr. That's one of my favorites. And there's one of there's a picture of Patrick Starr just having a purple sweater, and someone edited Lionel Richie's album just to have the Patrick Starr in it. I'll find that one where you talk about Dogman because it's been a use of my time.
They are a noted influence of Devin Townsend. Just throwing that out there.
Yes.
They also were known as the Edge originally. Imagine if they'd stuck with that name.
Good thing they didn't.
And they probably would have been more interesting than the Edge.
The edgy.
Oh yeah.
Their other name was Sneak Preview. That also is not maybe the best name.
No, I think they nailed it with King's Act.
King's Axe definitely is that signifier. It really could be religious or not.
Oh yeah.
Like I think all except one of them pretty much had like that. Like I was religious and now I'm kind of not.
Yeah.
I think Ty Tabor is still. I think is the one that's left.
Yeah, it's a fun album. Like I wasn't going in with this with anything groundbreaking. I knew it was going to get a number 3 from everybody, in comparison to what else was there.
I mean, it's fine. This is one of those albums which is somebody said that they just enjoyed it because it's fun for them. I can see that. I personally didn't get any of that, but I can see how somebody could enjoy this, especially during the times that grunge was popular. Oh, sorry, I found the
The Ritz
Photoshop.
one's great.
Excellent.
There's
Oh,
also that.
that's even
There's
better
also
than I
that.
pictured.
There's even that Mount Erie one as well, which is just
Oh God, yeah.
God.
Oh wow.
It's a
Oh.
great, fantastic page.
Oh my God.
Tricks. I was reading the Wikipedia page about how Ty Tabor's gear was apparently like a big mystery for.
His gear,
Yeah.
like what he played.
Yeah,
That actually makes sense. Live, they used to put fabric over all of their amps and stuff to hide it, so that nobody could like steal their sound.
right. It's a Stratocaster Elite that was made between 83 and 84.
Yep.
Yeah. That was kept a secret for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So people really care about guitars, and if you steal their sound.
Oh, indeed.
I'll take a look at this Photoshop as well. It's My Chemical Romance is the Black Parade, and it's Patrick from the Band Geeks episode.
Oh, that's great.
I also really like the Avalanches one.
I'm just going for the highlights on this. There's some absolutely perfect ones.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Who A is editing the Patrick episode art for this episode, and B, which one should it be? Should it be Dogman or Home Is Where?
There's definitely gonna
Home
be
is Where.
there's definitely gonna be a Patrick doing a cannonball or something around there.
Yeah, I can figure something out.
Please do, Tricks. That this is calling for it. We have called this in the episode.
This
Yeah,
one's for
Like
Trick
last
specifically.
episode's Minion. Okay, that's great.
It's Captain Beefheart's Child Mass replica for people who can't see.
Yeah. Do you still use the Dissonant Waves Twitter? We are on Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't in a bit, but I will get on.
Tweet it at them. Make the edit.
Yeah, I'll do that. I might just do that one on my private one. I don't know.
Fair enough. These are all really good. Patrick Star is a chameleon.
Oh yes, he is.
He's a Tom Cruise, and he's a chameleon, but you also always know it's Patrick Star.
Oh, indeed.
Now I'm just gonna make all of you uncomfortable. It's the Strokes Is This It cover. Don't think I need to explain this one. I'm pretty sure that's a poor edit for like. I think I know where they got the image from, and I'm pretty sure it's from the SpongeBob movie.
I know. I think that's the one from the Glute Master, one where he does it in his sleep.
Maybe. Maybe. I think we'll go two more here because this one's good for Tricks here.
Oh yeah, Primus. That's a pretty good one.
I'm just trying to find just one more.
Not their best EP, but a good.
Yeah, I think I know exactly which one I'm gonna end this on, and you two are gonna love it.
Of course, yes.
I feel like
it's
almost
in
too
the
basic.
airplane over the sea.
It's almost too basic now.
Well, I could get a better one if you want.
Get a better one.
Okay, here's a better one. Here's Abbey Road.
Yes.
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 There was some really good photoshops in here. There's there's also a Thundercat one here, which Tricks, you were the one who liked Thundercat, weren't you?
Yes, Thundercat's fun.
Or was it mostly Thundercat's Tritter? Or?
Both are fun.
Thundercat's cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's so much more in here that like, I haven't posted. There's like Talking Heads shop. There's a Currents one. I mean, my favorite. I don't know what my favorite is. Like I feel like, I feel like the Sunny Day Real Estate one is up there, but I feel like the Lionel Richie one's probably my actual favorite. I'll either that or the Carrie and the Lowell actually, because Carrie and the Lowell's a really good one.
Yeah, I think the Carrie and the Lowell is pretty.
Yeah.
Which should we go into some favorites and least favorites, which I have none.
Sure.
So that we can we can talk about Carrie and the Lowell.
I really like Dogman. I really like Complain and Human Behavior and Cigarettes and Go to Hell.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. No least favorites really.
My least favorites are probably somewhere between Shoes, Pretend, and Sunshine Rain. All songs you could probably cut.
I just realized this Photoshop also exists.
Oh boy.
What is that?
Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland. The alternative cover version, because I think Electric Ladyland had 2 artworks in it. Because I'm pretty
Yeah, it
sure the
did.
first, one had to get pulled off shelves or something.
That's surprising.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
it was because it was mostly just pretty sure it was mostly just naked ladies.
Yeah. But anyways, on to Carrie and Lowell.
There's 9 to the start, and I've got 14 spaces.
Yeah, so I think I might just need to find a picture again, just so I have something to laugh about before we talk about this. Just staring at myself.
Can I paint you guys a word picture before we get started on this
Sure,
about
please.
when I first listened to this album?
It was this week, right?
It was this week. It was yesterday because I didn't want to listen to it at work because I knew I would just start violently sobbing around like song 2, and yeah, that ended up being correct.
Didn't know better.
So anyways, it's about 4:30 in the morning. I'm sitting, I'm playing Picross on my PlayStation. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to Carrie and Lowell, get this over with, just get it over with, and I'm start just eating some hot Pringles, vibe into the first song, and then Should Have Known Better comes on, and all of a sudden a switch clicks, and it just could not, it was just ugly crying, like snot running down, like I'm like gasping for air, that sort of deal, and I did not stop.
Sounds like an allergic reaction, not gonna lie.
That's the hot Pringles, but to Carrie and Lowell.
Oh.
Imagine getting sent to the hospital and it was just they thought it was an allergic reaction, but no, it's just Sufjan Stevens again, the fucking bastard.
It's worth pointing out that Death with Dignity is used quite a bit in Life is Strange too.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever plays that game ever, they'll hear that song.
The first song isn't all that like tearjerkery, but oh boy.
When I was three, maybe 4, she left us at the video store.
Yep.
Is that Death with Dignity? No, yeah, that is that.
Yeah. I think I bought this album once. Like it was one of those. I went shopping with my mom and I found it at a record store. It wasn't really a record store. It was like one of those like stores that sell CDs, but isn't really a record store.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I picked it up and I'm like, yeah, hey, look, it's only $10. I'll pick that up. It's a brand new copy. And I played it for my mom, just like we're on the car ride home. And yeah, her comments were is that she was incredibly bored by it. So
It's a very, very gentle album. Like,
Yeah.
it is just Sufjan and a guitar and some like maybe some muted stuff in the background. And most of the songs just end in
there's
like
quite a bit of quite a bit of electro pop in this as well.
yeah, and like most of the songs end in like it's just the last minute is just like a cacophony of grief and noise as it just kind of evens out into like a little synthy thing. And they're all usually just very good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what song I didn't really cry at this song or this album, but I think the song probably
When it comes to albums about death, especially the ones that we've covered, I mean this is a fantastic album. It doesn't hit as hard as some of the other ones that we've done.
this is not a crow looked at me.
Yeah, it's specifically
I
not a
think
crow
this
look
hit
at me,
harder.
but
I think this hit harder for me than A Crow Looked at Me, if I'm gonna be honest. That was my spicy take, is that I think this album is sadder and hit harder for me than A Crow Looked at Me.
It might have
I
been
don't think it's sadder because I feel like I can get the hit harder. I don't think this album is sadder though, because a lot of this isn't just stricken with grief. A lot of this is actually him coming to terms with the death, coming to terms with his mother.
yeah.
Whilst A Crow Looked at Me is just nothing but grief. So I don't feel like this is a sadder album. I feel like there's actually quite a bit of light in this album despite the grief in it.
Yeah.
Which is
I
kind
can-
of
I can
also the
understand
point
that.
of this, because that's the whole
Yeah.
point of this album as well, is that it wasn't him trying to save, like with Mount Eerie, Phil Elverum wrote a whole album. Like I know this sounds like an offensive way to say it, but the whole album was feel sorry for me, and it wasn't like a whole he wants everyone to feel sorry for him because that's his personality. It was just that he doesn't care. This is shit.
Right.
My wife's dead.
Yeah.
Better. It's done better than that description. Don't get me wrong. Whilst this album isn't him trying to say feel sorry for me because my mom's dead. It's him coming to terms with his mom's death and his upbringing,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
I-
It's a lot lighter.
I think that it hit harder with me, my past, and my experiences with grief and that sort of thing.
Mm.
And that's why it hit me so hard.
Yeah, I can get it hitting harder. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. That I just feel like the album itself isn't sadder than A Crow Looked at Me, and I think that's actually the actual themes of the album itself, not just how it sounds or how it hits.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Drawn to the Blood that almost got me there, but it did not.
Mm.
I also do want to point out that this year Sufjan released Convocations, which is like a huge 2.5 hour album that is grieving the death of his father, in September.
Mm.
And he recorded that completely after The Ascension, which came out September.
The Ascension was a fantastic album, actually.
So
I know it split quite a lot of people, but like, I thought that's one of Sufjan's best.
I haven't.
Not as
listened to
good
it
as
yet.
this, but
Mhm. So this is a thing that he does, and probably his way to deal with grief and everything. So I just
Mhm.
I think it's interesting the way the two albums turned out. Carrie and Lowell being very much this gentle, lo-fi indie kind of album, and Convocations being this ambient, like almost new agey 2.5 hour like epic thing.
Mhm.
I think this is also why this album hit a lot of people, because Sufjan Stevens is known for being quite chill with his music, but a lot of his songs have also been quite grand, especially in the way how they end.
Yeah.
Like you think of Chicago, which is one of his biggest songs, and that's just full on orchestral instrumentation,
Right.
which just
Yeah.
builds up and has this kind of grand outro to it. Whilst this is just completely stripped down, and it feels like whilst Sufjan has always been quite good lyrically, or at least tried to put out an image lyrically, this is one where the lyrics are kind of the main focus point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like this
And,
is so different
like,
from Illinois.
This is a fantastic album. I rate Illinois higher.
I do
Just
too.
want to point that out there.
This is
Yeah.
probably number 2 for me.
Mm.
Illinois is so grand and is such like a moving work. Like there's so much in it,
Mm.
and having this kind of be like later on dealing with grief and doing a different thing, I think wonderful. He's a lot of range.
Also, the outro to Should Have Known Better when it comes instrumentally though is so just nice to listen to.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like Sufjan Stevens when it kind of just like in the past like decade and stuff, he's been experimenting more with more like electronic sounds, and I think he does it in his music quite well. I think The Ascension was a perfect use of electropop. I think he was trying to get that ambience and kind of dark sounds, but in here, the electropop kind of sounds in it are very happy, surprisingly,
Mhm.
and that's I think that might be what hits harder is that you don't expect some of the instrumentation in this to be as happy as it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition.
I mean, there's so many just great moments, like lyrically and like the storytelling. Eugene, the man who taught me to swim, he couldn't quite remember my first name. And goes and he says
Mhm.
later, and he called me Subaru, and that
Yeah.
it's just like that. It's just kind of making fun of himself in a way. It's kind of having fun with like, yeah, Sufjan is a name that's kind of unique, and I guess if you didn't care enough to pay attention, you could probably say Subaru.
Yeah.
Commenting on like maybe his relationship with other men throughout his life, this man that he looked up to, considered like a father figure, and oh yeah, Subaru.
And there's a band that I need to cover at some point, Ballpark Music, and someone once sent me this Google Drive folder, and it was all the covers and stuff that they had done on live and stuff, and had been recorded. So none of this had been officially released.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the covers that they've actually done is No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross.
That is such a good song. Also,
Yeah.
most of these songs are really, really great. Like in general, 4th of July is such a good song.
Yeah. This is just an album full of bangers.
I
I
think
wouldn't call them bangers.
John, My Beloved, I love a lot. just for how like melancholy and low toned it is.
Mm.
No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross is like the best like holy fuck moment.
Mm.
Fuck me, I'm falling apart. Such a great line, such delivered so well.
Mm. This is the only thing, which I think was one of the most popular songs on Spotify for this album.
Yeah, one of the singles.
At least it was when I discovered this album.
It was the lead single.
Oh, it's the lead single. Because I wasn't too like, I didn't really get into Sufjan Stevens until like, or at least like start to get into him until like 2016, 2017. So
Mhm.
I hadn't listened
unfortunately a
to
bit late to it.
Sufjan until we did Illinois.
I mean, this is this is just a very lovely experience. You can talk about the concept of this album and what created it, but in the end, that isn't what makes this album so good.
Right. It's a good
Yeah.
album full of good tracks.
Yeah.
I do want to listen
And
to the
it's-
live version. I've not done it yet.
It's like the big comparison that we're obviously going to have to do is obviously A Crow Looked at Me, because A Crow Looked at Me is the other big album about death that we've done. And
Right.
both are good for their own reasons. I put A Crow Looked at Me above this still, but that's just because that one just hits really hard, and they both have their own things. Like Mount Erie's really only that it is about death, and it's about his wife dying, and it's about his wife dying, and it's about his wife dying. But the way that it just goes into that is so just more honest and grief-stricken. That's what makes it so good.
Mhm.
Whilst with this, yeah, it's grief-stricken, but this one is a lot more melodic to listen to, which makes it a lot easier to go into. Like, if you're willing to recommend sad albums to people, don't know why you would, but go ahead. If you just want to say, hey, do you feel like getting a depression? Just go listen to some of these.
Yeah.
And this is really easy to get into. It might sound a bit frightening because the whole concept of it can be dark,
Right.
but this is really easy to get into. And it's not like it's been done to death as well.
Like
This type of folk is like very. I know I'm constantly talking as trying to say something.
okay. This is how the podcast
Yeah.
always is.
Yeah.
Screw Dominic. Nah, we love you. You know, you can talk because I haven't really got much to say. I sort of forgot what I was going to say.
I'm forgetting what I was going to say as well.
Chicks, you're gonna have to take over.
I'm glad I didn't listen to this album at work, or I would have been just sobbing violently.
Oh, right. Yes, I acknowledge that also. The interesting thing is that this is the kind of work that people know Sufjan Stevens for as like a meme. It's like just like this is the kind of stuff Chris Funning makes fun of.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I knew of Sufjan Stevens
Mhm.
before, for years before, but I never listened to him or you got into the context. But I remember back in the day, still when Illinois was the big meme.
Right. And like when I was in like high school and stuff, like a lot of my friends listened to Illinois, and like that was like one of the big indie albums from the era. And I just feel like it's changed for him now, where his people make fun of him, and then he's like just so gentle and like docile seeming, and this is the album that kind of typifies that.
We're just going to be doing Phil Elverum comparisons, or at least I am, because that's like kind of the same with him. Because Glow Part 2 was such a big kind of meme, or like big talking about in his music, and then A Crow Looked at Me came out, and that kind of became the whole focus point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, though, this isn't too rare because this is just when artists have that kind of whole second breakout.
Yeah. I also really do
Yeah.
love the picture of his parents, of Carrie and Lowell. Very nice.
Of Patrick Styles' parents, yeah.
And just how faded it is, and like it has that a little bit of that emo vibe, but it also is more genuine, and
Mm.
this is the thing. This is it. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, I could never tell if that was Sufjan Stevens or his dad.
I mean, that's a stepdad even, so it's not supposed to look like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, it kind of it's I've never really looked at Sufjan Stevens too much, but it kind of does.
But I mean, this is where he gets hired to be the person who writes the song for "Call Me by Your Name," and "Mystery of Love" is like a big Oscar nominated song, and this is the album that gives him like that second wave of like popularity, and like the kind of reviving all the is it gay, is it queer kind of Christian stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great album.
Yeah. Spoiler, it is my favorite of the week.
Yeah, I think we're unanimous.
Unanimously is it?
Yeah.
Unless
I
you
think
don't,
we're even unanimous on order.
are you a number 3 Dogman Tricks?
Yeah.
Number 2 is Home Was Where.
Yep.
Number 1 is Sufjan Stevens.
Yep.
I will say for my favorites and least favorites, pretty much everything's a favorite. I just don't like Blue Bucket of Gold as much.
I don't have a least favorite.
all.
Alright, we're unanimous on that. So unanimous we talked at the same time and said the pretty much exact same thing.
Yeah.
Which leads us
The
to
favorite-
next time.
I will just say the favorites though. Should have known better and No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross. I do like the only thing, but like should have known better is the highlight by far in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can understand why why you would cry on that song. I think that one hits the hardest.
Oh yeah, with the Black Shroud.
Death with Dignity, Should Have Known Better, John My Beloved, probably my favorites. And No Shade in the Shadow of the Cross.
Alright, now I need to think of what the hell did I choose for next week?
So I'll go
I forgot
first.
to think of that.
I'll go first.
All right.
I'm embracing Pride Month, being a very messy gay, and picking 2 EPs that have nothing to do with each other.
All I heard was messy gay, and I figured this is gonna be the horniest episode.
Not more messy in that these EPs have nothing to do with each other. I'm just putting both of them on here because I want to.
That's fair.
The one EP, it's not really Pride Month related. I've just been trying to put it on the podcast all year. No better place for it at this point. It's an EP called High by Broadway actor Alex Boniello. And I'll put a link in the chat just so we all have a way to access it.
All right.
It's a quick, 4-track thing. It's not, nothing too crazy. But the real star of the show this another EP that I've wanted to cover for a little while. This artist's album isn't out yet, and I'm kind of disappointed by it. So we're gonna do 7 by Lil Nas X.
That is the gayest choice of the year.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I'm also going to be kind of sticking with the Pride Month and going with our second ace. And I'm going to be doing the Pixies' Surfer Rosa.
All right, I figured. Yeah, you do the Pixies.
Surprised we're doing Sephiroth Rosa, to be honest.
Yeah, I wanted to start at the beginning. I'm not really, I don't know that much about the Pixies, and so I figured we'll dive in together.
I mean, I thought you were going to pick Doolittle.
Yeah, I was tossed it between those two.
Alright, well, I'm just
the bigger hit is off of Surfer Rosa.
I'm now just gonna go for what I've listened to this year, and just gonna decide what I'm gonna choose here, because there's been a couple of albums I've enjoyed this year that I haven't really picked ever. Screw it. Do we want to do some post punk? Do we want to do some? You know what? Actually, I'm gonna pick something that's not 2021. It's not something Australian, and it's not something on Spotify. Just because I remembered I have it, and I ordered it from Japan, like 6 months, like a year ago, and then it came like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is an artist that I should have done on this podcast a long time ago and just never have.
Okay.
And it's gonna be the Wombats' original but not really official debut, Girls, Boys, and Marsupials.
All right.
Oh, the Wombats.
If you can find that on well, they should have an album out this year as well, so maybe I'll start getting us into the Wombats.
Oh yeah, it's Japan only NC.
And I don't know if it's on YouTube Music or not, Trix. You're gonna have to. If not, I will pass over to.
What's it again?
Girls, Boys, and Marsupials.
I will also, just for completionist sake, throw on Alex Boniello's extra single Pigeons to round it out at 5 songs in his solo discography. So between 7, which is 8 tracks, and this 5, we have a good 13 tracks.
There's the song "Tales of Girls, Boys, and Marsupials" by the Wombat.
Yeah, that is on Girls, Boys, and Marsupials, but it's titled as a cappella.
Gotcha.
Now we're going with the OG one, which means I'm probably gonna have to pass you the files.
Hell yeah, go TL over again.
Yeah, because whilst all the songs did get re-released, they actually got re-recorded. We're listening to the original recordings that they put out here.
I have some Wombat stuff. I think I might have been from Glitterbug or something. I tried to.
Yeah, Glitterbug's my least favorite from them.
So I'm very
Greek
curious.
Tragedy is a fantastic song, but like that album in a whole was very inconsistent.
So I'm very curious to actually get more.
Well, this is their early stuff when they're a lot more dance punky.
I'm down. All right.
Yeah.
Um.
Interesting week.
Yeah, I'm down with this. We got Lil Nas X, 7, Alex Boniello, High, Surfer Rosa by the Pixies, and Girls, Boys, and Marsupials by the Wombats. Also, that extra single Pigeons. Otherwise, I think that's gonna do it for us. You can catch Dissonant Waves on Twitter at Dissonant Waves. We also have a YouTube channel, Dissonant Waves. We have a website, dissonantwaves.space. Dissonant Waves, Dissonant Waves. I've been Dominic. You can catch me on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. I've done some writing for tiltingwindmillstudios.com in the past. Maybe I'll be writing somewhere else eventually. We'll see.
I have been Riddle, and you can catch me on our website, riddleandforkids.github.io. I've actually been creating something in my shitty console engine. Not really a game, more of a toy, but that should actually be up in like the next couple months on the site. So like, yay. I also have a YouTube channel where I'll just post it so you'll have no actual reason to download it. I'll be in the description below.
I've been tricked. You normally could catch me on Twitter at procrastinator_, but my account is currently privated because I'm dealing with a stalker. But by the time that this episode's posted, that should be all figured out. And that's at procrastinator_. That's procrastinating astronaut, and then an underscore at the end of it.
All right.
Or you're gonna have to edit all the previous episodes just to say, sorry, my Twitter doesn't exist at the moment.
And by the time this episode
they're gonna be
airs,
folded.
it'll be unlocked probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
it definitely will be. But
Either that or the person's coming to your house. We'll find out in
let's
like
not
2
hope for
weeks
that.
when you.
I do not hope for that at all.
We'll find out in 2 weeks when you don't join the podcast.
Anyway,
Either that or we get some creepy 14-year-old joining in your place instead.
Oof.
God.
Okay, episode 60 is up next. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day.
Goodbyes.